Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's start out with some literary material, and this is one we had started called Before You Ask a Court Reporting Student, Why Does School Take So Long? Ready? Here we go. Anything that detracts from your ability to be on your machine doing high-speed dictation will slow you down. That means taking care of the home, taking care of your family, doing chores, shopping, working a job or jobs, volunteering, eating and sleeping, aka life in general, can interfere with your progress. Court reporters aren't just learning to type real fast, they are learning a whole new way of listening and typing. We don't spell out words, we stroke words. We don't have a QWERTY keyboard, we have a phonetic one. On our keyboards, the beginning sound of a word is on the left side. The middle has the vowel sounds, which are usually the middle of the word, and the right hand does the ending letters. If you ask me how to spell Jack, it's not going to be one finger pressing down J-A-C-K, 4 strokes of individual fingers. It's going to be S-K-W-R-A-B-G with 7 fingers all at the same time in one stroke. We use combination of keys to create sounds. For example, the beginning of a word's soft J sound is a combination of pressing S-K-W-R all at once in my theory. The beginning of a word's hard G sound is T-K-P-W. So we not only have to learn how to represent letters for when we have to spell out someone's name on a keyboard that only has 20 keys with repeated letters too. We also have to make a shift from spelling out letters to making sounds come out of combinations of letters that really don't make a whole lot of sense. It's a way of telling you which keys to press down to represent a sound. This is literally the same as acquiring a second language. Learning to write what you hear instead of spell what you hear is a skill that not everyone can accomplish. Then we have these sounds that make up parts of words. What are we going to do with them? In my theory, how we write out vowels, or if we write them out, all tells the different phonemes what to do. If I want to write homework, I would write home in one stroke, H-O-E-P-L, and then W-R-K, W-R-B-G. I would omit the O in work in order to tell that word to stick to the first word. If I leave the O in there, I end up with homework, 2 words. Learning all of these rules on how to make the phonemes stick or not stick or convert to something else entirely to form a word is acquiring a second language along with the first one that we're learning our theory just to get these phonemes down into our keyboard. Keep in mind that our 20 keystroke keyboard has repeating letters on both sides, so we don't have anywhere near all of the letters of the alphabet on that machine. C, for example, is a KR stroked together. Q is a KW stroked together. Now that we learned how to write sounds instead of words, and now that we know those crazy combinations of letters to make those sounds, and now that we've learned how to make those different sounds stick or not, we have to start doing it fast, very fast. We have to eventually get to 225 words per minute. Some people learn all of that and then they never get to 225 words per minute. Those are the really hard ones to see leave school. They have everything else in place, they just can't do it fast enough. It's heartbreaking. And we have people who have to give up when they run out of money, get injured, get repetitive movement injuries, and so on. It's a battlefield. You're battling your own mind, your self-doubts, the critics around you, the difficulty level in what you are trying to do, and the guilt over the people and things that you have to neglect in order to get enough practice in to justify occupying a chair in school. So the next time you meet a court reporting student, do him or her a favor. Don't ask why school is taking so long. Give him or her a cup of coffee instead. All right, let's try a little jury charge. And the subject of this jury charge is conspiracy. Ready? Here we go. A joint trial in this case resulted in the conviction of 5 co-defendants on a federal charge of conspiring to deal unlawfully in alcohol. Only the petitioner, Edward Larson, appealed. The principal issue is whether the trial court committed reversible error as against petitioner by admitting in evidence a confession of a co-defendant made after the termination of the alleged conspiracy. The trial court declined to delete references to petitioner from the confession, but stated clearly that the confession was to be considered only in determining the guilt of the confessor and not that of other defendants. For the reasons hereafter stated, we agree that under the circumstances of this case, such a restricted admission of the confession did not constitute reversible error. In the District Court for the Southern District of New York, the jury convicted petitioner and 4 co-defendants of conspiring to possess and transport alcohol in unstamped containers and to evade payment of federal taxes on the alcohol. The co-defendants were Philip Harris, Hugo Mason, Joseph Hart, and Edward Peters. The government's witnesses testified that they had observed actions of the defendants which disclosed the procedure through which Harris, Mason, and petitioner supplied unstamped alcohol to their customers, such as Peters and Hart. The government also offered for use against Hart alone his written confession made in the presence of a government agent and of his own counsel after the termination of the conspiracy. The court postponed the introduction of Hart's confession until the close of the government's case. At that time, the court admitted it with an emphatic warning that it was to be considered solely in determining Hart's guilt and not in determining the guilt of any other defendant. The court repeated this admonition in its charge to the jury. The Court of Appeals affirmed petitioner's conviction. We granted certiorari, especially to consider the admissibility of Hart's post-conspiracy confession. We will get back to this one. Now let's try some more literary material. And this is just a short article called 6 Tips for Effective Learning. Ready? Here are 6 tips to improve your listening skills and succeed in school. 1. Be present at all times. Being present in your classroom, even if it is an online classroom, is far more effective than just reading through the material. Studies suggest that using multiple scenes helps people better remember what they have learned, so take the time to impress in your memory all that you hear, see, and feel around you. To see how you learn best, take a VARK test online. Knowing your learning style may help you learn better. 2. Be open-minded. There may be times that you disagree with your instructors, but try to keep an open mind about those topics. Perhaps the instructor has additional information you do not, and it may take some time to find that out. If you do disagree with your instructors, approach them in a non-judgmental way about the topic. In most cases, your teachers will be happy to hear your opinions. Be prepared. Arrive at class early and have everything you need. Not only is this a great habit for when you are out in the workplace, but coming to class early will give you the opportunity to talk to your teachers about any assignments or work together with classmates on developing your skills. 4. Sit where you can see and be seen by your teacher. Not only does being able to see the teacher and materials enable you to get all the information you need, but sitting in the front or middle of the class enhances your focus. 5. Practice active listening. Focus your attention on your instructor and actively listen to what he or she is saying. Eliminate as many things that distract you as possible, whether that is your cell phone or the view out the window. Focus and active listening will be skills you will need as a working court reporter. 6. Participate in your lessons. Participating helps you retain more information about your lessons. Asking questions will also help you better understand the material being taught, and that will lead to greater success in the future. And one more short article here called Top 10 Reasons to Become a Court Reporter. Top 10 reasons. Ready? Here we go. 1. Court reporters contribute to society as a whole. Court reporting is a noble profession that affects our justice system, while court providers and captioners provide a service for those who suffer from hearing loss by offering access to the spoken word in the educational setting, convention, business meetings, church, hospitals, seminars, meetings, etc. 2. Court reporters are reliable and regarded with integrity. People who work in the court reporting field ensure the transcripts are accurate and well prepared. 3. Court reporters can earn a lot of money. According to 2010 reports from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the most recent year for which there is information, the median pay for court reporters was $47,700 a year. Court reporters can earn even more money. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that the top 10% of the profession earned more than $91,000 in 2010. 5. Court reporters work in a growing field. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics informs us that more than 9%, 25% growth in the field of court reporting will be needed between now and 2020. 6. Court reporters are smart and can learn something new while on the job. Every single workday exposes the court reporter, cart provider, and captioner to new information and knowledge. 7. Court reporters are tough and indispensable. They face the challenge of learning a physical and technological skill that most would find too frightening to even try. 8. Court reporters use technology, providing real-time translation to the courtroom. In the classroom or for television or internet broadcast, gives access to anyone who cannot hear so that they too can know what is going on. Providing real-time translation in the legal arena allows judges and lawyers the opportunity to review testimony instantly. 9. Court reporters have job flexibility. Court reporters can work full or part-time and often are able to work from their homes. 10. Court reporters have interesting jobs. They are highly regarded and preserve the spoken word historically and currently. Whether a captioner, cart provider, or judicial reporter, or using your steno skills in some other environment, every day is interesting, and every assignment is a bit different from the last. Every day, court reporters have the opportunity to meet new people and hear new stories. Now let's get back to some jury charge practice, and our subject was conspiracy. Here we go. Petitioner first attacks the sufficiency of the evidence connecting him with the conspiracy. The government's evidence, exclusive of Hart's confession, showed that the defendant's conspiracy to deal in unstamped alcohol centered around a garage used for storage purposes in a residential district of the Bronx in New York City and a gasoline service station also in the Bronx. The service station was used by Harris, Mason, and Petitioner as a place to meet customers and transfer alcohol. In December 1954, Petitioner, using the alias of Bill Farson, was associated with Harris and Mason in inspecting the garage and in negotiating for its purchase. For $7,000 in cash, title to the garage and an adjacent cottage was taken in the name of Mason's sister. In 1955, the garage was repaired, its windows boarded up, and its doors strengthened and padlocked. Petitioner lived not far away and was observed from time to time at the garage or using a panel truck which was registered under a false name. During the daytime, this truck generally was parked near petitioner's home, but neighbors testified that it was in use late at night to transport various articles to the garage or elsewhere. On one occasion, petitioner with Harris loaded it with bundles of cartons suited to the packing of 5-gallon cans. Late in 1956, petitioner used an additional truck, also registered under a false name. In addition, he frequently drove to the service station in a Cadillac car. On December 18, 1956, he used this car in making delivery of a large package to a nearby bar. During December 1956, the service station often was used as a meeting place for Harris, Mason, and petitioner. Harris and petitioner were there on the evening of December 28. At about 7 and 10 p.m. respectively, Peters and Hart arrived. Each turned over his car to Harris. Harris drove Peters' car to the garage and returned with it heavily loaded. Peters then drove it away. Government agents followed him until he stopped in Harlem. They arrested him and took possession of 19 5-gallon cans of unstamped alcohol found in his car. Later in the evening, Harris took Hart's car to the garage and was arrested in it. When leaving the still open garage, the agents thereupon seized 113 5-gallon cans of unstamped alcohol that they found in the garage. Hart, who had been waiting for Harris at the service station with $1,000 in a paper bag, was arrested on the agent's return with Harris. Back to some literary material. And this is called What Was Meant for Evil. Ready? Here we go. The weekend at last. It was a Friday afternoon in early December, and I was on my way home. I had an early deposition on Monday morning, so I grabbed my rolling briefcase and business tote bag and tossed them into my minivan on the way out the door. After a full weekend on Sunday night, we attended an appreciation dinner at our church in Pearland. About 8:30 p.m., sated and content, we said our goodbyes and headed to the parking lot. As we approached the van, nothing seemed amiss, but when I grabbed the door handle on my side, I knew that the door opened far too easily in my hand, and if it wasn't closed all the way. A quick, panicky look around the van verified my concern. My steno briefcase was gone, with $6,000 worth of equipment inside. My husband realized his wallet was missing as well. Then, as my heart sank, I realized my tote bag was missing, with my business records as well as my personal and business calendars. An entire year's worth of history was gone in an instant, along with all the equipment necessary to do my job. About 2 minutes later, before we could digest what had happened, a police car pulled up. Apparently, the same creeps who broke into my car also hit 3 other cars in our church parking lot and 4 at a nearby funeral home. After spending a few minutes reeling from the feelings of invasion and insecurity that quickly closed in, I spent a few more minutes being very angry and having some very unchristian thoughts about the people who did this. Then, realizing that I had a deposition in 12 hours and, of course, having no equipment with which to take the deposition, I grabbed my cell phone. I called my very good friend, Vonda, and poured out my troubles. The words, "I'll get it covered for you, don't worry," brought relief and tears. Even now, 6 months later, as I type these words, tears roll down my cheeks. The Bible says that God has a plan for all things, and I believe that with all my heart. It also says that what others intend for evil, He can use for good. I believe that as well, but in the moment I just felt helpless, violated, and vulnerable. And we'll get back to that. Now let's try a little more jury charge. And the subject of this one is conspiracy. Ready? Here we go. Petitioner's presence at the service station on the evening of December 28 was closely related to these events. He waited there with Peters for Harris to return with Peters' car containing the 19 cans of alcohol. He was there again with Harris at about 10 p.m., but left shortly before Hart came. He returned while Harris, Hart, and the agents were there and was arrested while attempting to drive away. Petitioner contends that the above evidence shows merely that he was a friend and associate of Mason and Harris. We conclude, however, for the record as a whole, that the jury could find beyond a reasonable doubt that Petitioner was associated with Mason and Harris in the purchase of the garage, that he had access to it, and that he was an active participant in the transfers of alcohol to Hart and Peters. In considering the admissibility of the Hart confession, we start with the premise that the other evidence against Petitioner was sufficient to sustain his conviction. If Hart's confession had included no reference to Petitioner's participation in the conspiracy, its admission would not have been open to Petitioner's objection. Similarly, if the trial court had deleted from the confession all references to Petitioner's connection with the conspiracy, the admission of the remainder would not have been objectionable. The impracticality of such deletion was, however, agreed to by both the trial court and the entire court below, and cannot well be controverted. And that will conclude our literary and jury charge practice.